think it's still morning, so we're getting very close. We're getting very close. I'll be correct in about another 20 minutes. My name is Bob Maurer, and I have the distinct privilege of being the MC for today's auspicious event, and that is the raising of the Italian flag here in front of Revere City Hall. As many people know, Revere has a long history with the Italian culture, and so it's especially unique and it's especially a proud day for the Italian residents of this city to have their flag fly alongside the Stars and Stripes here in front of City Hall. So we have this brief ceremony today, but it's a meaningful ceremony not only because of its participation, but because of what it means, both in terms of Italian heritage, Italian culture, but also the city of Revere, and how it has been welcoming to so many cultures from all over the world for so many years. It's a great place to call home, no matter where you come from. We're going to start today's ceremony with an opening song. The song is Italiano, and it will be by Toto Cutugno.
Thank you very much, and good morning, everybody. I am Enzo Amara, and Toto Cutugno wrote the song. He won a festival in Italy, and I want to dedicate it to all of you. I was born in Sicily, so I'm not really Italian. There's a distinction. Lasciatemi cantare con la chitarra in mano, lasciatemi cantare, sono italiano. Buongiorno Italia, gli spaghetti al dente e un partigiano come presidente, l'autoradio sempre nella mano destra, un canarino sopra la finestra. Buongiorno Italia con i tuoi artisti, con troppa America sui manifesti, con le canzoni, con amore, con il cuore, con più donne, sempre meno suore. Buongiorno Italia, buongiorno Maria, con gli occhi pieni di malinconia, buongiorno Dio, lo sai che ci sono anch'io. Lasciatemi cantare con la chitarra in mano, lasciatemi cantare una canzone piano piano, lasciatemi cantare perché ne sono fiero, sono un italiano vero. Lasciatemi cantare perché ne sono fiero, sono un italiano vero. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Enzo. Tell me that doesn't stir up an appetite for sausage and peppers. We have a short speaking program here today, and would like to begin by welcoming the city's most prominent Italian, Mayor Brian Arrigo.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Bob, for the kind introduction. Before I begin, I do want to recognize my colleagues in local and state government, and we are joined today by Representative Jessica Giannino, Representative Jeffrey Turco, City Councilor at Large Stephen Morabito, Ward 4 City Councilor Patrick Keefe, members of our school committee including Anthony D'Ambrosio and Michael Ferranti. We're also joined today by former State Representative Kathy Reinstein. So today we continue our custom of flying the flag of another country alongside the Stars and Stripes as a tribute to the varied cultures that make our city a proud symbol of inclusion and friendship among all of our residents. October is Italian Heritage Month, and so we raise Il Tricolore. Did I say that right? Tricolore. The green. Tricolore. All right. You can tell I took Spanish in high school, so we'll move on. And also known as the green, white, and red, that trace Italy's history of 225 years. The flag itself is said to represent Italy in all of its glory. Green for the plains and the hills, white for the snowy Alps, and red for the blood spilt in the Italian wars of independence. The Italian flag rouses the loyalty, love, and identity of the Italian people. It stirs their passion and pride in the heritage we celebrate during the month of October, Italian Heritage Month. For decades, we've honored Italian heritage by observing the national holiday of Columbus Day. But when we take a broader and deeper perspective of Italian heritage, we recognize the vast contributions by Italians to art, culture, science, philosophy, fashion, literature, music, architecture, and maybe most important, food and cuisine. Italians have influenced literally all aspects of human achievement. And so when we celebrate Italian heritage, we more suitably acclaim the accomplishments of Columbus's contemporaries during the High Renaissance: Michelangelo, Galileo, Leonardo da Vinci. We marvel at the achievements of historical figures: Marconi, physician, humanitarian, and educator Maria Montessori, composer Antonio Vivaldi, and countless others. We share the exploits of those that we've looked up to: Frank Sinatra, Joe DiMaggio, Pavarotti. We cite individuals such as Mother Frances Cabrini, who founded the first American orphanage in 1890 and devoted her life to aiding the abandoned, the sick, the destitute, all across the nation, and who became the first United States citizen to be canonized. And we honor modern personalities. Rosie Bonavita, also known as Rosie the Riveter, representing millions of American women who replaced male factory workers during World War II. Geraldine Ferraro, who in 1984 blazed the trail that finally led to the election of a woman as Vice President of the United States. And love him or hate him, Dr. Anthony Fauci, who has been a steady and guiding voice all throughout the pandemic. So for centuries, the small nation of Italy has played an enormous role in the growth and evolution of all humanity. And Revere, as Bob mentioned, of course, has a long history with the Italian culture. During the Great Western European immigration to the United States in late 1800s into the early 1900s, thousands of Italian natives settled in the Boston area. And Revere became home to hundreds of Italian families. And there's a lot of reasons why folks were attracted to the city of Revere. It may have been the ocean front as a reminder of their homeland. It may have been the acres of farmland that we had that Revere, that characterized Revere as a community. It may have been the benefits of living so close to jobs and the commerce of the city of Boston. And if we really think about it, those early Italian settlers of our community discovered then the same qualities that inspire our own contemporary affection for our city, except maybe for the farmland. Although many of our residents are known to have some of the best vegetable gardens in the greater Boston area. Indeed, many of the descendants of those who arrived 100 years ago still call Revere home this day. And so as we raise the flag of Italy for the first time in our city's history, honoring one more important source of our rich history, we also honor our hometown, our city, the great city of Revere, that has long been and today continues to be a community that's filled with the dreams of those who come here. So when we fly flags of our residents' origins, we proudly declare that the city of Revere represents a culmination of America's promise and prosperity. And so I want to thank you all for being here today. I hope you have a wonderful Columbus Day weekend, and I'm looking forward to the arancini that we have coming later today. Thank you. Oh. Of course, our our Ward 2 City Councilor, Ira Novoselsky, is here as well.
Does Novoselsky end in a vowel?
Sometimes why?
Sometimes why? We next have a few remarks from members of our state delegation, both proud Italians, who will deliver remarks not only from the state level of government, but also, I'm sure, from their own personal involvement with the Italian community in their hometowns. First, I'd like to introduce Representative Jessica Giannino.
Buongiorno a tutti. Did I say it right, Ms. Tucker? Great. Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for being here today. I'm really honored to stand here before you as your state representative and a city councilor in Revere. And while Mayor Rigo talked about some of the history of Italian heritage in the United States, I want to talk to you about something more personal, and that's the history of Italian Americans in the city of Revere. And I want to share my family's story with you because I think it's a story that is so similar to many Italian Americans that came to the city of Revere, but also so many others that have migrated to our city and chose Revere to start a family and to start a life. So my family came to the city of Revere in the early 1900s. My grandfather's parents came here when his mother was about 3 and his father was a teenager with just a couple of dollars in their pocket and a dream. They had friends here, and you'll notice in Revere a lot of the Italian Americans that are here come from similar parts of Italy, and that's no surprise. It's because when they came to America, they went where they had either family or friends from the same cities and towns that they were from in Italy, and in my family's case that was Bonito, which is a small town in Naples. So when my great-grandparents came here, my great-grandmother was a very strong Italian woman. She was one of the first women to drive. My grandfather didn't drive, she did. And she had the dream of starting a business. She grew pansies out of her driveway, where I still live today, and sold them to friends and family and gave many away. And my grandfather worked in the fields across the way at Roland's. And it was a friend that said to them in a fellow greenhouse, you should really sell these. And that's how Giannino's Greenhouses was born. And my great-grandparents built that business, went on to have 10 children. My papa was one of those 10. And, bringing it down even further on what that meant to them, I think it's important to notice the sacrifices that Italian Americans made in the city of Revere, and there were so many. In my family, we lost a lot of culture. We kept the food, but none of us spoke the language, and that was always something I found very sad. And it was because when my great-grandmother came here, after her mother passed away, when my grandfather was about 10 years old, she said, "We're not speaking Italian in the home anymore. We're going to speak American because I want my children to be known as Italian Americans." And that was very important to her. And my grandfather did not speak Italian, although when he went to Italy, he could pick it up and understand a little bit from his childhood. But it's very sad to me that that huge part of my family's history and our culture was lost in my great-grandmother's desire to make sure that her family was successful in Revere as Americans. And, you know, my grandfather went on, who was just one of her 10 children, to serve the city as a firefighter and to continue to run that family business. He had 4 children that all went to college. They were the first generation in my family to go to college, one of which was my dad. And then she can also say that she had a granddaughter and a great-granddaughter who went on to become state representatives for the city of Revere. So I think some of those sacrifices that my great-grandmother made were worth it in the long run, because it led to where my family ended up in the city today and the dedication and the passion that my family had for serving the city. Now, that's just my story. I know there are hundreds of other families in the city of Revere that have similar stories of how their families came here and what sacrifices they made to get here and to make sure that their next generation was successful. My great-grandmother wanted to make sure my papa had a better life than she did in Italy. And my papa wanted to make sure that my dad had a better life than he had growing up as a first-generation Italian American. And, you know, even though that heritage gets more distance as more generations come, I'm a third-generation Italian American in the city of Revere. It's still such a huge part of who I am. And, you know, I'm excited to see Miss Tucker and the kids from the Italian Honor Society here today, because she was a huge part of helping me find that heritage when I grew up. Because, again, we didn't speak the language at home. I didn't know Italian. And she'll joke and tell you that I sat in her classroom and would just add vowels to words and making my own Italian that was then coined Jessica Italian, which wasn't half bad. I'm here. I survived. And I studied Italian for 8 more years. And although I still cannot speak it fluently, it's still a huge part of who I am. It's still a huge part of my culture and so many others. So when you think about October as Italian National Heritage Month, think about all of the families that it represents. Think about the grandparents and the sacrifice. Think about your neighbors. Think about all of the people in the city of Revere that are so proud not only to be Italians, but to be Italian Americans and to be residents of this awesome city. So thank you all so much. I'm honored to be here. This is a really special day for me. And I'm going to introduce my colleague, Representative Jeff Turco.
So thank you very much for the opportunity to speak, Mr. Mayor, Rep. Giannino, my colleagues in government. Thank you to the Italian Honor Society for being here today. It's great to see the language of our people being learned. I never learned it as a kid. Took Spanish and Latin in school, but I know a few cuss words, but I don't think I'm allowed to say those at this forum. So, but you know, I'm proud to be here as an Italian or Sicilian American, standing here. My grandparents came from Riese, right outside of Messina, Sicily, and once a year the Journal does a great service to the people of this community when they produce the map of Italy and they show the families, the family names that came here, and it's really an opportunity to reflect on the contributions of Italian Americans, not just to Revere but to the country. And you know, it wasn't always easy for Italian Americans. You know, and at the risk of being a downer, I want to point out that the largest single one-day lynching in the United States of America was in 1891 against Sicilian Americans. Down in New Orleans, the Sicilians and the Italians with 300,000 Sicilian immigrants went to New Orleans, and they called the French district Little Palermo, and there was an accusation, a sheriff got killed, and they said, oh, the Dagos did it. And they literally went and they broke down a jail and they dragged 11 Italian people, totally innocent, out into the street, and they brutalized them. So America wasn't always easy for our people, but we've come a long way. I do want to point out, just again, the New York Times, after that incident happened, had an editorial, and the editorial said that the victims of the lynching were, quote, desperate ruffians and murderers. These sneaky and cowardly Sicilians, the descendants of bandits and assassins, are a pest without mitigations. You know, 100 years ago, but yet you look how far we've come. You'd walk around the city, you drive around the city, thanks to the mayor's good work. You see the monuments up that are put up on our street corners, recognizing the contributions of our veterans, most of them in this day and age Italian Americans that came here with nothing, literally with a few dollars in their pocket and a shirt on their back, and yet they came here and adopted this land as their own, and they sacrificed everything to make it better so that all of us could be here today in an Italian flag raising ceremony. So I just want to, you got to know where you came from in order to really truly appreciate and celebrate where you are today. And so these opportunities to raise the flag are an opportunity to celebrate our pride, celebrate our history, celebrate our people, but also celebrate the fact that Revere is a new Revere, and the Italian immigrants of yesterday are the Spanish immigrants of today and the Muslim immigrants of today and tomorrow, and we ought to learn from our mistakes of the past, and the mayor's efforts to bring us all together at ceremonies like this are an opportunity to really recognize and learn from our past and grow. God bless you all, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Representatives Giannino and Turco. Personal stories, historical stories, but certainly stories that can be simply entitled What Immigration Means. And it's so important, and the words that Representative Turco just said, what Italian people went through should be a lesson for everybody, and how important it is that we adopt and incorporate and befriend everybody who comes into our community. Il Professore Antonetta Fiero Tucca has brought with her the members of the Italian Honor Society from Revere High School, and we're going to hear remarks today delivered in Italian by Daniel Cardona and translated, thankfully, by Carolina Bettero. I'd like also to introduce, just one second, guys. I'd like also to introduce the members of the Italian Honor Society, including Daniel Cordero. Would you stand up when your name is called, please? Daniel Cordero, Carolina Bettero, Sofia Pertino, Emily Buss, Melissa Devicek. Did I pronounce that? I butchered it, didn't I? I'm much better with Italian names. Giovanni Hernandez, Mark Marchese. Scored a touchdown last night, didn't you? Nice job. And Emma Bruno. Daniel and Catalina. Oh, who did I miss?
Miguel.
He's not on my list. Miguel Dionati. That's special attention. And now we'll welcome Daniel and Carolina.
Buongiorno e benvenuto. Mi chiamo Daniel Cardona. Sono studente di italiano al liceo di Revere e anche un membro della società onoraria italica capitolo Filippo Mazzei. È un onore essere qui con voi per celebrare questo importante momento. Il mese di ottobre è un periodo molto speciale per tanti motivi. Per molti statunitensi, ottobre è il mese nel quale si celebrano le loro origini italiane. È il mese del patrimonio italo-americano. Ma che cos'è questa celebrazione e perché è importante? È semplicemente un'occasione per celebrare i contributi degli immigrati italiani in tutti gli aspetti della società americana e la cultura che hanno portato negli Stati Uniti. È un mese per riconoscere i contributi e le conquiste di queste persone e dei loro antenati, per celebrare gli illustri contributi culturali degli americani con linaggio italiano, onorando e riconoscendo i secoli di conquiste, successi e preziosi contributi degli immigrati italiani e italo-americani. In questo mese è importante celebrare non solo le persone famose, ma anche le famiglie sconosciute, gli immigrati poveri che si sono creati una nuova vita in America ma non hanno mai dimenticato l'anima italiana. Per gli italo-americani è un momento speciale per ricordare le proprie famiglie e le loro storie e soprattutto per riconnettere con la cultura dei propri antenati. Grazie.
In other words, good morning and welcome. My name is Carolina Bottero, and I am also an Italian student at Revere High School and a member of the Italian Honor Society at Revere High School Filippo Mazziei chapter. It is an honor to be here with you to celebrate this important moment. The month of October is a very special time for many reasons. For many Americans, October is the month in which their Italian origins are celebrated. It is the month of Italian-American heritage. But what is the celebration and why is it important? It is simply an occasion to celebrate the contributions of Italian immigrants to all aspects of American society and the culture they have brought to the United States. It is a month to recognize the contributions and achievements of these people and their ancestors, to celebrate the illustrious cultural contributions of Americans with Italian lineage, honoring and recognizing the centuries of achievement, success, and valuable contributions of Italian and Italian-American immigrants. In this month, it is important to celebrate not only famous people, but also unknown families and poor immigrants who have created a new life in America, but have never forgotten their Italian soul. For Italian Americans, it is a special time to remember their families and their stories, and above all, to reconnect with the culture of their ancestors. Thank you.
Thank you, Daniel and Carolina. At this time, we're going to ask everybody to please stand, and Enzo Amata will play the Italian national anthem. The Italian national anthem is actually known by two names. Its official name is Fratelli d'Italia, and it's also known as Inno di Mameli.
Inno di Mameli. So Mameli wrote the song, and we take the first two words of the song as Fratelli d'Italia, as the Italian national anthem. I know you've all been passed out the paper with the words, so please try singing Italian with me. Fratelli d'Italia, l'Italia sede sta dell'elmo di Scipio, se città la testa dove la vittoria le porga la chioma che stiava di Roma, il Dio la creò. Paravam, pam 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 pam. Fratelli d'Italia, l'Italia se desta dell'elmo di Scipio, se cinta la testa, dove la vittoria le porga la chioma, che schiava di Roma e Dio la creò. Stringiamoci a cohorte, siamo pronti alla morte, stringiamoci a cohorte, l'Italia chiamò. Stringiamoci a cohorte, siamo pronti alla morte, siamo pronti alla morte, l'Italia chiamò. Sì!
Thank you, Enzo. This next song we know the words to, but it's probably a lot harder to sing, and that is the national anthem of the United States.
Okay, so here we go. You all join with me. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hail at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watch, where so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proofs through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled
Thank you, Enzo. And as you can see, Il Tricolore looks very nice up on our flagpole. This next invocation is, I think, very common among all Italian mothers. And that is, as this ceremony comes to an end, mangia, you're all skin and bones. Eat, eat. There's going to be music and refreshments as we continue this afternoon. We're going to close with a song by Domenico Modugno, and that is Volare. And that's going to be followed by God Bless America.
Who does not remember Domenico Modugno? Penso che un sogno così non ritorni mai più. Mi dicevo le mani e la faccia di blu. Poi d'improvviso venivo dal vento rapito e cominciavo a volare nel cielo infinito. Everybody! E volavo, volavo, felice, fino del sole ed ancora più su, mentre il mondo piano svaniva lontano laggiù. Una musica dolce suonava soltanto per me. Let's fly way up to the clouds, away from the maddening crowd. We can sing in the glow of a star that I know where the lovers enjoy peace of mind. Let us leave the freedom and all these illusions behind. Just like birds of a feather, a rainbow together we'll find.
Wait, can I jump in one with you guys?
Oh, sure, Anthony, why not? Anthony, this is an alumni photo.
When the world seems to shine like you've had too much wine, that's amore. Bells will ring, ting-a-ling, ting-a-ling-a-ling, and you sing beneath the bells aloud. Hearts will play ting-a-ting-a-tay, ting-a-ting-a-tay, like a gay tarantella. When the stars make you true, just like my stepfather sul amore. When you walk down the street with the clouds.